This is the warm-up, 653, day 2. Alexandra bought 2 pounds of candy for her classmates. The candy is on sale for $10 per pound. How much did she pay in total for the candy? So 1 pound per pound would be $10, but she buys 2 pounds, so that would be double. It would be $20. You would do 2 times 10. I used friendly numbers, 2 and 10, for this problem instead of the decimals. So now that I know the operations multiplication, I'm going to reread it. Alexandra bought 6.3 pounds of candy for her classmates. The candy is on sale for $2.96 per pound. How much did she pay in total for the candy? So we know the operation by using the friendly numbers is multiplication. So I'm going to stack them. And when you stack multiplication numbers for multiplication, you do not line up the decimals. You line up the last place value of the digits. And now I'm going to go ahead and multiply. 3 multiplied by 6 is 18. Regroup the 1. 3 times 9 is 27, plus 1 is 28. Put the 8, regroup the 2. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. Now I'm going to the next place value, so I have to put a placeholder for this 10th place. Now I'm going to multiply by the ones. 6 times 6 is 36. Here's the 6, regroup the 3. 6 times 9 is 54, plus 3 is 57. Regroup the 5. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 5 is 17. Now I'm going to go add the 2. 8 plus 0 is 8. 8 plus 6 is 14. Regroup the 1. 1 plus 8 is 9. Plus 7 is 16. Regroup the 1. 1 plus 1, 1 plus 7 is 8, and then 1. So that gives us 18,648. But I need to count the decimal places. So this is 1, 2, 3 decimal places. So here was 18,648. Well, that wouldn't even make sense that it would cost $18,000. So because 6 multiplied by 3 would be $18, not 18,000. So always make sure that you estimate your solution. 6 times 3, I just estimated that, would be 18. So, 18,000, I forgot the decimals. So I go 1, 2, 3, and there we get $18.64. Well, I go to the pennies, go to the right. Since that's 5 or higher, I'm going to go ahead and round up to the next place value. So that gives me Alexandra paid $18.65 for the candy. I rounded from here because this is the pennies. We don't have anything less than pennies. So if this was a 4, I would just round down to $18.64. But since it's 5 or higher, 8, I round up to 65 cents. Number 2, Nate's birthday cake weighs 10 pounds. Each slice of cake weighs 2 pounds. How many slices was the cake cut into? So if the cake weighs 10 pounds, so you have a 10-pound cake and you're cutting it into slices, and each slice weighs 2 pounds. So that means that you have a cake and you're cutting it. So if you're cutting it into smaller pieces, that would be that you're dividing the cake. So we know the operation. Now let's go ahead and reread it with the mixed number and the fraction. So Nate's birthday cake weighs 4 1/3 pounds. If each slice of cake weighs 1/8 of a pound, how many slices was the cake cut into? So we're dividing it because we're cutting it into smaller pieces. And so here we have a division problem. So we have a mixed number divided by a fraction. So you cannot divide a mixed number So we're going to turn this mixed number to an improper fraction. And you do that by multiplying the denominator by the whole number. So 3 times 4, which is 12, plus 1 is 13, and you keep the denominator. So we have 13 thirds divided by 1/8. So now we're going to go ahead and do, I just took this over here and brought it right here and do keep it, switch it, flip it. So we're going to keep the first term, 13 thirds, switch the division to multiplication, and flip 1/8, take the reciprocal or reflippical, we flip it to 8 over 1. Now I check to see if I can cross simplify. I can't this way, and I can't cross simplify it this way because the greatest common factor of these are all 1. And so I multiply straight across. 13 multiplied by 8 is 104. 3 multiplied by 1 is 3. And so 104 can simplify to, if we do long division, 104 divided by 3, we get approximately 34.7 slices. This is the exact, or we could say 34 slices. Number 3, Charlie spent $3.95, $6.88, $1.14, and 96 cents from his gift card. He returned an item for $15.32. What was the total change in the balance of his gift card? Well, let's find out how much he spent first. So we're going to take the amount that he spent, and so we're going to total all of these. So we're going to add them together. And when we do that, you just, for addition and subtraction, you line up the decimals. And so I do 5 plus 8 plus 4 plus 6 is 23. So there's the 3, regroup the 2. And 9, so I'll do it this way because I can add it easier. 9 plus 1 is 10, plus 8 is 18, plus 9 is 27, plus 2 is 29. There's the 9 and plus 2, regroup the 2. And then 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 8 is 11, plus 1 is 12, and you bring down the decimal. So this is how much he spent. But then he returned an item, and we want to find out what was the total change. So the difference between how much he spent and how much he returned and put back on his card. So when you're trying to find the difference of two numbers, that's subtraction. So we're going to take how much he returned and subtract that. We'll subtract $12.93 from how much he returned, because this is how much he spent, and we're finding the difference. And I have 2 minus 3. Well, that can't happen. If you have 2 dogs, 3 can't run away. So I had to borrow from my neighbor, and that became a 2. And then, so I regrouped a group of 10 over here. 12 minus 3 is 9. This became a 2, and if you had 2 minus 9, you can't do that, so I had to borrow a group of 10 from here. The 5 becomes a 4, the 2 becomes a 12. And then I did 12 minus 9 is 3. Drop the decimal, because when you're adding or subtracting, you line up the decimals. Only multiplication is when you count them. And then 4 minus 2 is 2, 1 minus 1 is 0. So the total change is $2.39. It's the difference between how much he spent and how much he put back on his card from the return. Number 4, Lucy ate 2/3 of her sandwich on Monday and only 1/4 of her sandwich for lunch on Wednesday. What was the total amount she ate for both days? So think of her sandwich, and she ate 2/3 of it, and then she ate 1/4 of it. So she didn't eat all of the sandwich, but she did eat this much. So you had 2/3 plus 1/4. You're adding these together. You want to find out the total amount she ate. And so we do that by adding the two numbers together. So we have 2/3 plus 1/4. And these are broken up, the denominators are different. They're broken up into different amounts. This is broken up into thirds, this is broken up into fourths. And you can see that thirds are a little larger than fourths. So we can't add these together. So we have to find a common denominator by finding the least common multiple of 3 and 4. So I stacked 2/3 and 1/4, and I wanted to find a common denominator, which is 12. It's the least common multiple. Multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12. Multiples of 4, 4, 8, 12. It's the first multiple they have in common. Well, what did I multiply 4 by to get 12? I multiplied by 3. 4 times 3 is 12. And if I multiply the denominator by 3, I have to multiply the numerator by 3. 1 multiplied by 3 is 3. I'm multiplying 1/4 by a giant 1, so I'm not changing the value of 1/4. Then what did I multiply 3 by to get 12? 4, because 3 times 4 is 12. And if I multiply the denominator by 4, I multiply the numerator by 4. 2 multiplied by 4 is 8. And again, this is a giant 1. I'm not changing the value of 2/3, because 2/3 multiplied by 1 is still 2/3. These are called equivalent fractions. They have the same value. So now I can add them. You keep the denominator, because now I broke the sandwich up into 12ths. And so 8 plus 3 is 11, and you keep the denominator. So Lucy ate 11/12 of a sandwich.